And welcome to Generation Crypto, the first ever crypto marketing hackathon bounty competition. Very excited to kick this off today. Today we're going to start off with a roast session, a kickoff roast session with Matty Mo and Nathan Latka, two really awesome people who I've known for a while now. And to give you a little bit of background around Generation Crypto. Essentially, this was started around 2 months ago, and we wanted to help out the crypto ecosystem, bring on a lot of new talent, blood, and help people break into crypto. So if you're looking to break into crypto, we have over $1.2 million in marketing contracts available that can really bust in and get started and get relationships in the crypto ecosystem. And we're very excited, and we have very excited for our kickoff today. And if everybody is ready, I'd love to bring in our first two hosts and our first two guests.
What's up, Bryan? Thanks for having us.
What's up, Nathan? What's up, Matty?
Look at this guy. Once you're successful, you just wear tan t-shirts all day and hang old rugs behind your head and look really smart, Matty, huh? Good to have you. You're muted, Matty.
Oh, he's muted.
It's actually a sweatsuit, so the top matches the bottom, as they say, you know?
I love it. You just got back in from Dubai. You're hopefully well rested in New York. Are you excited about what you're seeing in crypto over there?
Yeah, I'm here for NFT NYC, which is just kind of insanely palpable. There are apes and punks and all sorts of things roaming the streets. And we'll see if this NFT thing is here to stay.
No, it's exciting. Look, I will be the first to admit I don't understand it, but I remember seeing some of the artwork you were doing. We were chatting last night. Was it back? I think it was back in 2012 or 20. When did you have that cool studio that you let me check out?
It was like 2016, 17 when you came by my studio in LA. And let me briefly explain NFTs to you. Okay, so
please.
And this is an example I gave last night sitting in the Bowery Hotel lobby that to like a noob who didn't get it. It's like, okay, you buy a Lambo, right? To be able to show everyone in your town you got a Lambo. But that Lambo is only going to be able to show everyone in your town you've got a Lambo. It isn't shareable across the metaverse. Whereas if you own a punk or an ape or some other NFT that it signals high status, the whole world can see that you own that thing. So it's kind of like this opportunity to like flex across borders at the scale of the internet.
I love that. So is this the right question to ask? What NFTs do you currently own? Is there one you're really, really proud of?
Well, I'm not so much like an NFT buyer and collector as I am kind of a participant in the community and creating NFTs. And the reason why I buy NFTs is actually to gain access to different Discord channels to learn and connect with new and interesting people. And I think that's what this whole project is about, is bringing people together, connecting with new people. So there ought to be some kind of NFT component, I imagine. We'll have to talk to Bryan about getting that.
Guys, I was just saying, Bryan, the team, they've set up a great event. It's for noobs like me to understand what the heck's going on and experts like Matty to enlighten us, right? To enlighten us. So, Matty, we've got some interesting speakers coming up at the conference. Should we jump into a couple of these? And, we won't call it, we'll just gossip. We'll intelligently gossip. That's what we'll call it.
Yeah, I don't want to roast anyone. I mean, he who lives in a glass house should not throw stones. and
you and me both. Who's more glass, you or me? I don't know. We both have very, very glass houses. We have.
So I've got a list of the speakers in front of me. It's an amazing lineup. Do you want to just like go down speaker by speaker? Say
yeah,
the name, the company they're working at.
Let's do that. I mean, have you heard of? I mean, do you know Sam Thompson? Have you heard of him before at Proven VC?
No, tell me more.
So this is a crazy story. So I actually, you guys cannot miss this, because one of the things I always look for when I'm interviewing founders for my podcast is just founders doing unique stuff. Sam is like a no BS kind of guy. I mean, so he's bought over the past, he told me he's bought 12 SaaS companies over the past 3 years. Now, some of these were doing as little as like $1,000 a month in revenue. Others he bought are like prosumer. He took from like nothing to $26,000 a month in revenue very quick, and he writes about it. He's building all these in public. So one of the recent ones he bought was a company called leadbird.io, doing $400 a month. Matty, he paid $1,200 to get this, so 3x MRR, whatever, small company. Closed it a couple weeks ago, but he grew in the first 30, 45 days up to $8K a month in revenue. So he's just really good at like taking these SaaS startups from nothing to something and then flipping them. He spent the last 3 that he exited, he spent $300K to acquire all 3 of them together, but he exited combined those for more than $2 million. So this guy is just a capital creator. He knows what he's doing.
Wow. And I'm no mathematician, but that seems like pretty good math to me.
Well, it's nothing like an NFT markup, 1,000% overnight, but 300K to 2 million sounds pretty good to me too.
All right, so that sounds like an interesting session. The next is Gregory Gottman from Moon, spelled MEWN. Nathan, do you know what Moon does other than have a really cool name?
I have no clue. This looks like something out of like a Harry Potter book or something. I have no idea what this is. Tell me. Matty, you froze. Yeah, tell me more about Moon here. I'm going to his Twitter right now. It's twitter.com/startupgreg. Venture partner at Red Pill VC. Let's see here. Let me dive in. Again, I know nothing about this. We're going to get Matty Mo guys back here in a second, but in the meantime, what I'm going to do is jump down to the next speaker, Anthony Castro with Indie Worldwide, who I do know something about. So Anthony came to an event we put on in Austin, Texas. This is a guy that just cares a ton about community. And as you guys know, some of the fastest growing digital communities, Web3 communities, are the ones focused on great community builders. Anthony has a Slack group of over like 1,500 founders and startups, and he launched this into something called Indie Worldwide, where he's doing stand-ups on the weekends with founders. They are sharing and exchanging ideas and milestones they hit. And this is an episode, a part of the conference you're not going to want to miss, because he's not only incentivizing and growing the communities, but he's launching these very cool challenges. He launched a recent one called 100 in 100, which is effectively helping founders compete. They compete with each other. Who can get 100 users in 100 days, 100 new paying customers in 100 days. And he's got this very cool 100 in 100.co ranking. Smart Pill, ID, Lunar, and Notion Startup OS are the top 3 right now, but that's one you're definitely not going to want to miss. All right, definitely not going to want to miss that. Going down to Nick Abraham, right, with leadbird.io. He's talking about how to scale your agency. Now, one of the interesting things you'll quickly learn about agency business is it's taxing as heck. It's so taxing. Speaking of taxing, Matty is taxing the Wi-Fi in New York. Matty, you back?
I hope so. I'm really sorry about that.
No, you're good. I'm just rolling. I'm doing my best, sort of roll with the punches. You sound great. Tell me about Moon.
Keep going. Tell you about Moon. I mean, don't know much about Moon, so we got to move on.
Okay, we'll go past it. So you're not familiar with Greg either. I thought the way you were teeing it up, I'm going, oh, Matty knows a bunch about these guys, but it sounds like he's going to highlight some different. Okay, very cool. So he's going to talk a little bit more about, from what I can tell, he's going to highlight some different parties that he threw and how he's using these parties to 10x the value of certain tokens and growing things like layer 1 ecosystems. An executive in the blockchain space, that's one you don't want to miss. I just gave an overview, Matty, when you dropped off, of Anthony Castro and his 100 in 100 challenge. Let me just throw this over to you real quick. Are you seeing a lot of different crypto communities use challenges as an effective way to drive value of the token? I mean, you're seeing this with apes and virtual communities, but what about challenges specifically?
Yeah, I think if you aren't differentiating your project in some way, your project is going to fall on deaf ears. And so challenges and gamification, like all the things that we learned about back in the early days of building Facebook apps, now applies again to crypto and launching NFT projects successfully. So I think that session is going to be incredibly insightful and help folks who want to figure out how to make it in this ecosystem.
Again, guys, that'll be 30 minutes. Anthony is a great founder and host, also young, spent the past year and a half down in Mexico City before returning back to the States about 2 weeks ago. That title there, The Story of 100 in 100 Challenge, how a challenge he built and launched in a week doubled the size of their community overnight. Moving forward, Matty, to Nick Abraham of leadbird.io, talking about how to scale your agency. So 2 questions. One, do you know Nick and Leadbird? And if not, how do you think about agency as a way to sort of get an MVP for a community or software off the ground?
Well, I remember Gary Vee telling me that he likes to scale the unscalable. And agencies are one of those things that are just like fundamentally unscalable because they require people. So if Leadbird.io can help you scale an agency, that seems like a pretty interesting and important talk to be at.
Yeah, and I mean, one of the things that there's a lot of people saying, I'm from the SaaS world. There's a lot of people saying, I think SaaS 5 years from now looks a lot more like community-driven, blockchain-oriented communities where the users of the SaaS tools actually obviously own the SaaS tool. It's sort of like open source model. You saw GitLab with a very successful IPO built on top of open source. But imagine if the users had a part of that $15 billion valuation that they're trading at as of this morning. Agency is a great way to get these things started. So yeah, great. We'll chat. You guys don't want to miss Leadbird.io. He's focusing on putting lead generation on pilot, and that lead generation tool has given him so much leverage. It's helping a lot of agencies generate a lot of cash flow, over 1,000 verified leads every single month. Let's go down to Sheriff. So Sheriff here is covering the Near protocol. Matty, full disclosure, I know nothing. Again, I'm not a crypto guy. Near protocol, are you familiar?
I'm familiar with Near protocol, and what Seraph's going to be talking about is no-code tools that exist for Near that marketers can use to launch their campaigns. I think that's pretty cool. I mean, no-code tools in the crypto space is how we're going to bring on the next 100 million users. And no code is a big movement outside of the crypto space. I think that's going to be an interesting one to pay attention to, especially given that it's put on by the folks, our dear friends over at Near Protocol.
What are some of your top tools? Obviously, Near is up there. What are your others? I just don't know. What are your favorite no-code tools for crypto right now that you're seeing noobs like me use and actually have an impact?
I mean, in theory, OpenSea is a no-code tool to launch NFTs as an artist. You don't have to know how to code in order to be able to deploy a smart contract. And so what we're excited about is seeing what kind of no-code tools are going to be coming to the Near ecosystem to allow users that are noobs like you and I to actually figure out how to play around in the blockchain.
You're not a noob, man. Come on, you're in it. You're creating all this cool stuff. Do you seriously consider yourself a noob?
It's moving so fast. Like literally, every day I'm learning something new. So if I sound like I don't know what I'm talking about, it's probably because I don't.
Fair.
Yeah, I mean, I think like everything we saw in Web 2, from gamification, incentivization, no-code tools, all that stuff is coming into crypto. The one thing that's kind of lagging behind is like the Web 2 design love that we've been seeing. Like Web 2 got really good at designing usable products. We don't yet see that in the crypto space. And so hopefully folks like Sheriff and the Near protocol can make that happen so that we can bring more people into the ecosystem.
All right. And then after Sheriff, with a 30-minute talk, we've got Tim Hines. He's the principal at Marketing Starter Consulting Group. He's talking specifically about the starter state of mind, a beautiful place to be, the starter state of mind, how an entrepreneurial spirit will make you a more savvy marketer. Matty, dare I ask, what's the craziest thing you've ever done for attention to drive the growth of a company you were building?
Oh my God. Well, when I was kicking off my community, TMFA community, we hijacked that monolith project that happened last year where all these monoliths were popping up all over the world. So I guess that qualifies. More recently, I tried to sell my own human fecal matter as an NFT. That didn't work so well, but it's a pretty crazy stunt to try to get a little bit of attention. I love the.
Was the monolith thing? Did that get you the most free impressions, like in terms of just free press generated out of over the past 5 years?
The Hollyweed sign was a pretty good one as well. I mean, there's a lot of them but the monolith was definitely the most global, and it was in a time when the whole news cycle was all about like COVID and the world ending. So it was kind of fun to play with the news a little bit and pretend like aliens had landed.
I
But
love that.
Tim's
So, guys, Tim's going to go deep there. Some of these things you just saw Matty talk about, his ability to do. Tim's going to go in and say, hey, how can you apply the same creativity, this same starter state of mind to your company to become a more savvy marketer? After that, we've got the CEO of Clint Marketing and Growth Secrets, Taylor Ryan, coming up, who's going to, I love templates. I love things that we can just consume quickly. He's got a pre-launch checklist for your crypto project and why your crypto website sucks. Now, I don't know if Taylor's a nice person, not a nice person, but we'll dive in. We'll take a look at the sites there. And the second one, he'll dive deeper into learning growth hacking tactics blended with branding to successfully launch any crypto project. Those two things combined will be a lot of fun to watch. And then coming up after that, you don't want to go anywhere. We've got Lloyd Lobo, who's the co-founder of Boast.ai and Traction Conf. Now, if you don't know Lloyd, you should. He puts on a great event up in Canada. And called Traction Conf, which I went to pre-COVID. This guy knows how to build community. And what's really growing for him right now is a company called Boast.ai. They effectively help you understand tax credits. So if you're building in Canada and you need tax credits, Bryan, am I doing this justice for Lloyd?
You are killing it on the speakers. But one of the things that I noticed is we're skipping a lot of like the really key sponsors that are coming in. I mean, the reason that we started this whole event is really about how do the companies that need help, right? So it's a very insular space within crypto. I didn't mean to cut you off. Why don't you finish about Lloyd?
No. Dive in, because I get excited about the speakers, but like a lot of these speakers, you wouldn't have been able to get them if it wasn't for like Cheddar Farm and Vordo and Metapool and these guys that you have supporting the conference. So yeah, take a second, talk about some of the sponsors.
Okay, great. So one of the first sponsor sessions that are coming up, the bounty sessions, is Vordo Gaming. Is on a gaming company on the Near protocol, and they have a really cool game. But they want to kind of get an entire agency to rebuild their onboarding experience from the ground up, right? So they have one right now, Vordo Gaming, and the game that they have, oh man, I forget what the name of it is, but they have a mobile version, a Web3 version. And it's all near integrated. And one of the nice things about this is that you don't really even see a lot of the crypto aspect of the game inside the game, but then you can pull it off chain, right? And put it in your own wallet. So they have a $50,000 bounty, and anybody can come and compete and pitch them to rebuild their acquisition funnels, their landing pages, and like that's just the first piece of it. Like the real on most of these contracts and most of these bounties, as if you win it, they're looking for a long-term partner. So this is just almost like a little trial phase. Come in, do a project, build a strategy, build a couple landing pages, test 3 or 4 acquisition channels, and then create a relationship for the rest of the year.
And so how does that bounty work, Bryan? If folks submit and compete for that prize, when does the bounty get like distributed?
Absolutely. So December 15th, we're going to be doing the distribution. The submissions end on December 1st, right? So for the whole month of November, any of these bounties that are up, you can submit a proposal. The proposal consists of, you can upload a file, you can upload a video, a description, a background of your team, who you are, why you should win it. So we recommend a PowerPoint presentation or a PDF, and then maybe a 30-second or 3-minute video talking about why you're the best suited to help in this use case. And then what happens on the other side is that the sponsors, they go through the proposals, they go through the bounties, they pick the winner, and then you execute, in the case of Vordo Gaming, a $50,000 contract. So this isn't like a hackathon where you have to sit in your basement and build for like 10 weeks straight or 10 days straight coding it. It's how are we going to help? How are you going to bring your value to the table? And why are you the one that can help them succeed with this project?
Before we move forward and talk about some of the other great speakers coming, we'll go back to Lloyd and Boast. And Matty, feel free to chime in as well. But Bryan, let's talk real quick about CollabLand. I've seen them come across my radar a couple times. They're one of the fastest growing tools in the crypto space for managing your online communities. Crypto startups, other online communities, and content creators are using them very effectively. They also have a challenge they're putting out. They want to see who has the best approach to a dashboard that enables communities and marketing leads to use CollabLand as a marketing tool, again, to drive community engagement and community activation. You want to talk a little bit about that project and the bounty?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Collab Lamb's doing phenomenal stuff. I got a little bit of inside information because I have to throttle myself a little bit here, but
Bryan, tell us
yes.
the inside information right now, or I'm hanging up.
You're gonna have to hang up. But let's just say it is literally the fastest growing project within the crypto space at the speed at which they're bringing people on. Right, they're bringing people on faster than the wallets can be generated. It's insane. Because it's low code ish, right? There's a couple different workflows that you can do. I wouldn't call it no code. I'd call it more like low code. Very similar product in the Web2 space is Zapier, right? Or Zapier, right? Zapier makes you happier. So if you thought about whatever the Web2 version of Zapier and how big of a company Zapier is, that's like the collab land, right? So what they're saying is, hey, we're going to build all of these like workflows and funnels in collab land. And so the people that are using Collabland, we're looking for a way that if you're a Collabland user, you can have a dashboard to see kind of like your different workflows and how many people are pinging. And they have stuff that's right out of the box. And then they also have like little custom integrations that you can do. So they're doing a lot of the main use cases is next to no code. And then they give you all of these other options. And so they're looking for a dashboard that allows to see how many users that you're adding to your Discord, how many people are picking up the NFT collection and then engaging in the Telegram. So they integrate really well with Discord. They integrate really well with Telegram. And it's basically almost creating like a ticketing system that you can't get into the Discord or you can't get into the mastermind group without holding the NFT or without holding a certain amount of token. That's
Matty, you mentioned you're buying a bunch of these sort of NFTs to get into the groups. Have you noticed Collabland powering some of these Discord access channels?
Collabland is the tool to make that happen. So I was going to say, by show of hands, who here uses Collabland, and I have, and that bounty sounds like an incredibly useful tool. So super excited to see what comes of that. And sorry I keep cutting out. I think I might be getting hacked over here at NFT NYC. the bandwidth is over.
Someone's mad they bought your fecal matter and you didn't deliver the NFT. Now they're striking back.
But Collabland's an incredible product, and I think Bryan summarized it well. And that is actually a bounty I might go after myself. That one sounds really cool.
There you go. What is that? Am I reading that correctly? A $30,000 to $50,000 bounty. There's 2 bounties there. We'll see what happens. Now, before we move forward to Catalyst DAO and Metapool, we'll talk about both those in a second. We'll go back to some of the speakers here. Now, have either of you guys ever been to Lloyd Lobo's conference, Traction Conf up in Canada, or used Boast.ai?
I have not, no.
Yeah, he does a great job. I mean, great conference up in Canada, Traction Comp. I want to say when I went in 2019, or maybe it was earlier than that, there was 500, 600 people there, but really high quality. And Matty, dude, this guy just arbitraged. I mean, what he basically said is, wow, the Canadian government is giving out this thing called shred financing to companies. Companies don't even know that the government owes them money. Let me launch Boast AI to help them recover these tax credits. And then Boast.ai, Lloyd's company, takes a cut of this. But, he's doing over 25 million bucks in revenue now. They've raised a bunch of capital, which if you do that in a smart way, obviously can be very nice. So he's going to talk about the ultimate guide to community-led growth. And specifically, it's going to be fun to listen to him talk about how he used that in-person conference to grow his online business, Boast.ai. 30-minute session there. You don't want to miss that. Matty, anything you want to jump in here with Eric Sue, Single Grain? Great podcast here.
Yeah, he's the founder of Single Grain, a digital marketing agency and investor acquiring SaaS companies and agencies. Tons of experience in digital marketing with the Marketing School podcast that he co-hosts with Neil Patel, who's also a legend. It'll be a fireside chat. I'm looking through the questions they're actually going to be asking Eric, and it looks like there is going to be a tremendous amount of insight gleaned through this talk, something you're not going to want to miss. Specifically, talking about Andrew Chen and A16Z, mentioning the biggest issue of the next 5 years for companies transitioning from Web 2 to Web 3. So Eric's going to try to address that, and it'll be interesting to see what he has to say.
Guys, right around that same time, you want to be sure to check out Metapool. They are, again, a great sponsor. Metapool.app, great bounty here. Now, I haven't used Metapool. Matt, have you used them before?
I haven't used Metapool, no.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, so we see here sort of in the proposal and what they're focused on, the goal and metric of their campaign is the number of, they call them near accounts interacting with their platform. For now, they're growing about 10 to 15% per month. Currently, there are about 4,500 daily active accounts interacting with the platform. They want to see that grow. The total near staked in the platform, currently that total value locked is 2.6 million near tokens. They want to create a more valuable experience for near token holders and also for MetaPool stakers. So that'll be a nice bounty that you guys want to check out there. Matty, any of these other sponsors jump out to you and you use any of them?
Have you heard of Pokemon?
I love Pokemon. I connected the Japanese and American versions back when I was, I think, 13 or 14 and sold them way too early.
Okay, so Metamon is like an NFT version of Pokemon, I believe. And they're a sponsor. They have a bounty. It's $10,000. I don't know the specifics of it, but it will be quite interesting to see what the folks in the Near community do with Metamon, which could be the next Pokemon. Who knows?
This is interesting. How do you, my friends came down to visit me here in Austin, and they were talking about apes and unicorns and chickles and like all these. It's what's fascinating to me is to watch these NFTs and how people, very creative artists, think about the different layers you can apply to the same core thing, like an ape or a unicorn or avocado, with all these different layers and rarity levels. But a lot of people are using obviously these now to give access to things. In other words, if you have rarity level X, you get into Y. Who do you think is doing the sort of the best job of that in terms of exclusivity within their community tied to a specific NFT? Would you say it's the ape crew?
Utility built on top of NFTs is a fascinating discussion. And I don't think it's necessarily the ape crew. However, the ape crew does have a line around the block to allow NFT holders into specific events here at NFT NYC. So we are seeing this offline to online transition or online to offline transition happening via NFTs. For example, I'm going to a party tonight hosted by the Friends with Benefits DAO. And in order to get a QR code to get access, you have to connect your wallet to prove that you actually hold a certain number of tokens. So it's happening. And what's really cool about this whole movement, it's kind of like having a membership to the Soho House. Like, you join and you pay money to go then into a space where you can interact with like-minded folks. But the difference here is that when you decide you no longer want to be a member, you just sell your membership, whether it be an NFT or some social tokens. So that's kind of this interesting dynamic playing out here. And so long as you join the cool clubs and those clubs create value for the community that they're supported by, in theory, those clubs become more valuable over time and the access becomes more difficult to get. So that's kind of what we're seeing play out here. And I wonder how that's going to play out in the Near ecosystem.
This is like what a DAO is effectively, correct?
A DAO is, I'm going to butcher this, but a DAO is kind of like this idea that a whole bunch of individuals govern an organization using tokens to make decisions about how to deploy funds from the treasury, how to structure the organization, that kind of thing. So a DAO stands for Decentralized Autonomous Organization, and it's mostly focused on governance. Yeah.
And guys, Matty and I can talk a little bit about this, but I'll tell you what you don't want to miss is the hour-long session with Jeff Kaufman and Brennan Schlutler with Jump, the founders of Jump. They're going to do a fireside chat together talking about DAOs and marketing community. How's the treasury work? How do incentive structures work? All of that you don't want to miss. Again, hour-long session there. Before we go over to Shopify. Now, Shopify obviously super famous in terms of valuation, growth, who they're supporting in public markets. They're obviously thinking a ton about NFT and blockchain at Shopify. Matt, are you here? Matty, are you hearing any rumors in terms of what moves Shopify might make in the space?
I'm pretty sure Shopify is enabling NFT acquisition functionality within their platform. And what's cool about that is it will allow for fiat-based users to onboard into the NFT ecosystem. And so long as they do it in the right way, it could be a major, major, major kickstart to bringing the entire world into the world of NFTs and crypto.
That's always what I'm looking for with this new, sexy, cool stuff. I'm like, what's going to help my mom in the middle of Colorado who like rarely uses the internet learn about this stuff? And Shopify has so much exposure. It feels like a mousetrap that could propel the value of this thing, way higher than we even are today. So we'll see how they're thinking about that. And we're going to get direct from the source, folks. Nicole Sanford giving a great talk, 30-minute talk on that. She is their blockchain success manager at Shopify, on Twitter at @CryptoWitch. You don't want to miss that one. Matty, any other sponsors going back over to that side of the equation here? I mean, that you use or have heard of and you want to feature?
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about Link Drop. Are you familiar with Link Drop?
I'm not.
I'm just loading up their Twitter here to see what they've said recently.
I know Maddie and I, they go, you know what, let's have a total noob and then a really smart artist on to chat about this stuff. But I believe what Link Drop is about is really helping you onboard your everyday users with different NFT marketing campaigns. So things like generating and distributing marketing links, including digital assets, getting user insights. They have this beautiful link, they call it the Link Drop dashboard, and I think some of the big Web3 companies are already using them. Maddie, Coinbase I believe uses them, Binance, Maker, Decentraland uses them as well. So I think they're off to a nice start.
I think Bryan wants to hop in and talk about Link Drop.
Yeah.
Bryan,
This is
take it away.
Yeah. So a lot of the times, within the Web3 world, you have your ETH wallet. You come in and you're like, okay, I'm here. I have my wallet and I got nothing in it. Right. So Link Drop, there's an ETH version that's sponsoring, and then there's a Near version that's sponsored. Somebody from the core team on the ETH side forked the project and integrated it in with Near. What's really cool about Link Drop is just on how do you onboard your monitor in Colorado. Essentially, you can just give her a link and say, hey, here's $10 worth of Near, here's $100 worth of ETH, here's an NFT already in a wallet. And what Link Drop does is they click on the link, they submit it, they put in their information, the wallet is generated, and then it drops in the token or drops in the NFT. Right within it with a nice little smooth onboarding experience. And so it's really cool for growth. It's really cool for distribution. It's really cool for people just breaking into crypto on how do you get it to them easy. And they're doing some great work out there, but as good as their tech and their marketing is, they need a lot more distribution, right? So not a ton of people really know how to use it or what the use case is. So they really want to get out there to bigger brands that want to drop their NFTs, right? So it's the execution mechanism. Let's say I'm like Nestle and I have this Halloween 2021 chocolate bar NFT and I want to give it to all these different people. Well, now they can embed it into Link Drop and then send it out as an email blast and essentially drop these NFTs, right? And so they want more exposure like that.
Super interesting. And what's the bounty on that one?
I think there's two different bounties. There's an ETH version and they're different prices. All of our bounties are $10,000, $25,000, $35,000, or $50,000.
One of my favorites that I was peeking at ahead of this call, guys, I was anyone else, either of you guys play Age of Empires, the Conqueror's Edition back when you were younger? Mm-hmm. Maddie, were you a big gamer when you were younger?
I played Age of Empires. I wouldn't call myself a big gamer, but I definitely played Age of Empires.
No, I was nerding out. I would play all these European maps, and I was part of this clan called X_XX clan. I felt like such a badass for my little computer in Northern Virginia. But these things are changing. You guys, we saw early on with Activision and how they thought about their games and upselling, back in the day, virtual goods. There's a company now leading in this space in the crypto community called Vordo Network by Philip Ruffini. And they've got these great games like Hash Rush. And so one of the things that they want is they want someone to help them understand how they can activate their gaming network. So they're building the Vordo Network. It's a web platform for Web3 game developers to build the future of crypto-based games, but more importantly, to create liquidity across games. So the network has two components, really. An NFT trading platform that allows these users to buy and sell those in-game products. Think of that sort of like, oh man, that'd be like sort of like eBay, right? But for NFT game accessories. And then secondly, there's a service, I believe, that helps developers publish these play-to-earn games. Think of that almost like sort of like Amazon Web Services that makes developing games in the crypto ecosystem easier. So you can do both these things together. They want your help on strategy, how to get users into the top of funnel to their website and then convert them. The main goal there is to have the most amount of end users possible. For example, they'd rather get 100 website visits with 100 conversions than 1,000 website visits with 100 conversions. So they want a marketer here, conversion rate expert. Matty, have you played anything on Bordeaux Network yet or heard of them?
I have not yet. I want to jump into Paris if you're done talking about
Take it away, man.
Okay, so Paris also has PARAS.ID. It's a NFT marketplace that focuses on digital collectibles, as well as supports and develops unique crypto native IP. So think like playing cards, right? They've got 2 bounties, and they're looking for folks to help introduce the Paris comics into the U.S. marketplace. So we're talking about a $45,000 bounty to help them figure out how to launch their comics in the U.S. marketplace. You know how big trading cards were. Now imagine trading cards that last forever. You know, like you get your your Michael Jordan trading card or whatever, and you've got to keep it in the plastic sleeve, and then all of a sudden your mom throws it away or something like that. That doesn't happen with NFTs. And so what we're really excited about is to see what happens with the Paris marketplace and help those folks figure out how to get their comics in the U.S. market with this bounty of $45,000.
Guys, there you have it. Now we have a couple more speakers we want to chat before we feature before we wrap up here. So one of them, there's a lot of folks that are going, you know what, I'm a founder, I'm a marketer, I'm from sort of old school Web 2, I want to transition into Web 3. How do I do it? Well, you don't want to miss the session, a 30-minute session by the founder of Talent Protocol, Felipe Macedo. He's going to put together this session really focused on helping you transition your career from marketing into Web 3. And then coming up after that, we've got Peyton, who is the head of community growth at Launch House. Now, Matty, have you heard of Launch House? Brian, have you heard of Launch House?
I love Launch House. Launch House is like, it's like Silicon Valley meets the real world TV show, but as like an accelerator happening across multiple geographies and in the metaverse. It's a game changer. I mean, if I wasn't trying to build an art town in the middle of nowhere, I would definitely be living in a Launch House in Los Angeles or New York. In fact, I'm going to a Launch House event during NFT NYC. So Peyton's really cool in that he's worked on stuff like the Mannequin Challenge. Do you remember that? Where everyone like stood still and that song that like went super viral. And the Harlem Shake. Like this guy gets how to make things go viral. That's probably a talk I wouldn't want to miss if I was interested in making a splash in the Web3 ecosystem.
I mean, and you can argue too, Peyton was there at the early days. You know, Lil Nas has taken off, whether it was Blood Shoes with Mischief or anything else. The guy is creative and just taking up the headlines. Peyton was one of the early folks working on the campaigns with Lil Nas. Again, now at Launch House. You don't want to miss that. Check them out, launchhouse.co. That'll be a great session there. And then bumping down, so talking real quick about, you know, NFTs and Web3. It's not all just about making money and watching Elon Musk's latest tweet. There's also something to be talk about NFTs for good. And so the co-founder of LSX, Leah, is going to come on for 30 minutes and chat about how to use NFTs for good, where she can see this sort of ecosystem going specifically to drive action and healthy change. It'll be another 30-minute session. Flipping back over to the sponsors, again, we've already talked about some great names. Again, Brian, if you want to just quickly summarize how this works, there's bounties, there's submissions, there's RFPs, there's going to be a lot of winners.
Yeah, 100%. We're working with the Near community and the Near Foundation heavily, but we also have a bunch of ecosystem projects within Near. There's about 20 ecosystem projects within Near and about 18 sponsors right now outside of the Near ecosystem. The whole goal is to get exposure and have like this giant hiring event on the one side where the crypto companies are looking for talent. They're hiring like crazy. Obviously, they're hiring developers, but they need help with every single aspect. They need creators. They need designers, they need front-end developers, they need YouTubers, they need anybody with any sort of professional background experience in business because they're growing. Some of these companies, I was talking to Uncommon Domains last week, they went from 50 people, like this year, they went from like 5 to 50 within the 18 months. And then over the next 18 months, they plan on hiring 200 people. The amount of explosion in growth in this space is insane. Right? These are the companies, everybody wants to work at Facebook in 2005, 2010. Right now, you need like Coinbase and all of these other crypto companies are like where it's at. So how do you get this started, right? How do you get this bootstrapped? How do you put it out there? Thankfully, the people from Near, they said, hey, let's actually put a bunch of bounties. There's this hackathon concept to hire developers. One of the best way to hire developers is you put out these challenge around these protocols or these different technologies and you do a hackathon. Well, so now we're bringing that into the different parts of the ecosystem, specifically for marketing. A little bit, we have a couple of sales and biz dev projects, but it's about 90% marketing during this competition. And so we're looking for agencies, freelancers, marketers, creators, filmmakers, YouTube artists. If you are a creator and you want to break into crypto, this is literally the best way to break in.
And guys, again, it's this beautiful combination of folks building real things in the space and also speakers with very inside information, domain expertise, sharing live. Maddie and I are fighting over the next speaker we want to talk about, Gabby.
Actually, I want to jump to one of our sponsors because
okay, do that.
Is actually doing what Bryan just talked about, the DAOification of the metaverse. So they've got 2 bounties, and they're hoping folks will help promote activation of creation of DAOs and onboarding via app.astrodao.com. I recently read a tweet where it's like every kid that's looking for a job right now should be looking towards DAOs. DAOs are the future. They're the new way to structure organizations. They're decentralized. They're based on like merit. They're based on contribution. DAOs are a way for communities to organize. I'm actually trying to build a DAO myself. So I think Astro has 2 RFPs out, both for helping accelerate the DAOification of the metaverse. Super excited about that one. And then I'll jump to Justin Wu. I actually have spoken at 2 of Justin's events. DecentralCon is happening in Miami. It's going to happen right before Art Basel. They've done NFT Con and a few other events. Justin has put together an incredible team. One of the leaders in the conference space for the Web3 universe right now, and he'll be someone that you'll want to keep an eye on because he seems to be able to aggregate and bring together some really bright minds in the space, and will be like let's call it a force multiplier as we try to bring Web3 to the masses.
Guys, speaking about bringing things to the masses, you talk about a rising star. When I was at Launch House, building off Peyton Hag and his speech, one of the folks that I got to spend a lot of time with was Gabby Goldberg. So I was there for a couple months, spent a lot of time with Gabby, and it was incredible to watch how intentional she was, not only about supporting other entrepreneurs and founders, but about the writings that she was doing. Her Twitter account grew very, very fast from nothing to almost 30,000 followers quick. That's Gabby_Gold, GOLDBERG. She's in a Stanford alum, young but crushing it, now investing early in Web3 at TCG Crypto. That's a conference, that's part of the event. You're definitely not going to miss a 30-minute presentation from Gabby. Again, one of the up-and-comers, rising stars in the Web3 crypto space.
Nathan, do you follow Gabby on Twitter?
I do, yep.
She's where I get all my alpha.
What was your last alpha you took from her? I'm on her Twitter right now. Do you remember the last sort of alpha you got from her?
I gotta look it up. Okay. Let's come back to that. Don't put me on the spot, dude. This is supposed to be like,
Well, I don't know. You said alpha. I'm just going with the conversation. But you've got it though. You know, in the past you've seen something, you've taken action on a Gabby tweet and said, "Holy crap, that worked really well."
Yes.
There you
go.
go.
Also, you're not supposed to tell everyone all your alpha. The first rule of gathering alpha is never tell everyone all your alpha.
Fight Club Web3. There we go. All right, Bryan, any other sponsors we missed that you're just super excited about that we definitely need to touch on?
Yeah, 100%. I really like this one called Near Names. It is it's a technology, right? So the guys were super cool that built this technology similar to Near Link Drop, but essentially what Near Names is you can create a named account for somebody. And so we kind of talked through the team. They're very technical. They're part of their ecosystem. And one of the things that kind of came up was the ability to drop staked Near, right? So what does staked Near mean, right? Think about like your grandma or your aunt that like gave you these bonds or T-bills, like for birthday, but maybe they gave you like a $50 bond or T-bill or something when you were younger, like, hey, save this, put this away to college, right? So now not only can you link drop tokens, but you can link drop staked near that has an interest rate associated with it. We're not supposed to talk about pricing on this thing, but let's just say, think of it as a bond, and they want to build turn their technology into a way for people to gift interest-bearing tokens. So think of it like, they're not crazy percentages, like 6%, 8%. They're pretty good percentages. So how do you build an interface for someone to be able to charitably give to a charity, or to be able to give a bond to a family member as a gift, as a present? So these are like two different kind of directions that they're thinking about taking their project. And I believe that's a $25,000 bounty, and that's super cool.
So Bryan, just to summarize this, there's a lot of money up for grabs. Can you briefly describe how much money is up for grabs?
It's either 1.2 million or 1.3 million in contracts and bounties.
So insane. And it all and so generally speaking, folks are going to be able to watch this conference play out in real time.
Yes.
They're going to be able to look at RFPs, jump into projects, and have this like long scale hackathon to bring more people into the Near ecosystem.
Yeah, the beauty of it is your submission process you don't even have to build it, right? You just have to propose and prove that you're the one that can build it.
Wow.
So if you have talent, experience, if you have a portfolio, if we have front-end development experiences, basically not even the development aspect, just design a flow for us, design us a new customer journey. So you don't have to build the front-end experience, right? You just have to build the design. We have logo recreation. There's one called Cheddar Farms. They want a complete rebranding. They're in the NFT space. They're doing some cool things. It's just wild, right? How many different, we have an AMM DEX that's looking to have more institutional money, or rebrand to have more institutional money come into their AMM. And so it's a very, very wide variety of different projects in DeFi, NFTs. We have some layer 1 protocols. We talked to a company, Harmony. We actually still have some more sponsors that haven't fully converted. But one of their example one was, hey, we have 3,000 videos on YouTube, right? And so we want to be able to like aggregate and curate and turn all of this content that we created over time into tiny little trailers that can help summarize what we do better, because the gold might be like a 30-second little piece in the trailer. So they're looking for a content curator to come through, look through their videos, and take those little trailers and push them out as little social experiments and to help communicate the brand.
So it sounds like you don't have to be a Web3 expert. You could be like someone that dabbles in Web2, knows how to design in Figma, put together a user flow, and all of a sudden you can get some of this delicious magic internet money.
Magic internet money. That's a token now. MIM token. Yeah. That's really what we're trying to do, is ease the onboarding experience. You don't have to know like how to code a Solidity contract. It's like whatever you're an expert in, come to the table. You can go onto the website, you can search through, you can look by traction channel. We have content marketing, we have SEO, we have paid ads, we have design, we have front end experience. Like, so don't think less technical, think what are the experiences that where crypto can help power, but not necessarily be front and foremost. Like the Shopify one is like a perfect example. You come in, you like this image, you swipe a credit card, boom, now the NFT is in your wallet. Like, but every other ecosystem project needs that type of experience.
Absolutely. So I know we didn't get to every single speaker, and I know we didn't get to every single sponsor, but it's pretty remarkable what a list of talent and supporters you guys have put together for this. Should we call it a hackathon?
Hackathon, marketing competition. Yeah.
How about like win 1.2 million-a-thon?
Yeah.
Let's go, baby. Yeah, Bryan, this is great. I mean, even for noobs like me that know nothing about crypto, it's a perfect way if you're a marketer watching to get into crypto. Again, guys, you're coming in. This is where the top marketing minds, the top projects meet. GenerationCrypto.org. You join, you pitch, and you win. 1.2 million in contracts up for grabs. You're going to connect with the best in blockchain. Matty, Bryan, and I have summarized some of those today. There's no entry cost. You can get started right away. Check it out. And before we jump into the next session later today with Sam Thompson, who's going to talk more specifically about how to launch micro growth experiments, again, from a guy who's done it, acquired companies for about 300 grand the past 12 to 24 months, sold them for over $2-3 million, made a killing, now playing in Web3. We're going to throw it back over to your host for the entire conference, Bryan Colligan at GenC Crypto. Bryan, thanks for having myself and Matty on.
Nathan, thank you, Matty. This has been great. Thank you, guys. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, I hope we didn't roast too hard, but we,
Didn't roast at all. You guys are too kind. Way too kind.
Thank you.
It's cool.
Thanks, Matty.